Right, so let's talk about the magic of 3. Let's talk about why 3 is a magic number. And I hope after I have introduced you to this idea of the magic of 3, you will realise how the rhythm and the clarity that the magic of 3 gives you is such a powerful tool in the English language. I couldn't resist a few more quotes for you. One from Barack Obama from his first inaugural speech, which would have been around, I'm thinking maybe 2008, 2009, I can't remember exactly. We have a responsibility to ourselves. We have a responsibility to our nation and our world. We have a responsibility to ourselves, our nation and our world. Barack Obama, his inaugural speech. You see the magic of 3. Ourselves, our nation, our world. This is Barack Obama, a really powerful president. Yeah, so this is powerful language. And it has the rhythm, and it also is very clear in the message that he is delivering. Yeah? Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, and I remember. Involve me, and I learn. This is a Chinese proverb. I don't know exactly when this comes from, but this is a Chinese proverb. Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, and I remember. Involve me, and I learn. I bet, after hearing that and seeing it written down, I bet most of you can remember that in about 2 or 3 days' time. If I asked you in 2 or 3 days' time to tell me the Chinese proverb, I bet most of you would remember that, okay? Because it has this rhythm, it has this clarity, it has a strength and power to it, okay? Which is important, okay? So, the magic of 3. How can you use the magic of 3? Well, first of all, as we've already discussed, your verbs. If you are going to use verbs within a sentence or within a group of sentences to describe something, make sure your verb forms are always the same. So your tenses, if you're going to use the tenses, make sure you use present simple, simple past, okay? Use a gerund, use an infinitive. Make sure your verbs are always the same to create that parallel structure. If you're going to describe something with nouns, make sure you use 3 nouns. If you're going to describe a noun with an adjective, use 3 adjectives. Yeah, 3 adverbs. Now, we're going to talk about all of these in more detail later in this lesson, but I want you guys to also start thinking about more advanced vocabulary and combinations. Okay, so rather than just using a noun or a noun and an adjective, I want you to start thinking about using adjectives and nouns. So imagine 3 adjectives and nouns within an answer to describe something. Imagine using verbs with adverbs. So 3 verbs with adverbs. Yeah? Or even adverbs and adjectives to describe something, to describe how you feel. So just using verbs, nouns, adjectives and adverbs singularly is good. Make sure you use them in parallel structure. So if you want to describe or talk about something, choose 3 adverbs to describe the thing you're describing, or 3 adjectives or 3 nouns, okay? But using combinations of vocabulary is a much stronger, okay, and much better way for you to start describing things. So adjectives and nouns, verbs and adverbs, adverbs and adjectives. We're going to discuss those in detail, okay? But the magic of 3, okay, why do I want you guys to use the magic of 3? There are, strangely enough, there are 3 reasons why I want you to use the magic of 3 when you're answering IELTS questions. First of all, if you were just to answer a question very, very simply, so, I don't know, perhaps you're talking about your hobbies and you want to describe your hobbies and you say, well, I like reading books. It's a perfectly valid answer. I like reading books. Okay? But it doesn't really demonstrate much vocabulary. It doesn't really demonstrate fluency. It doesn't really demonstrate everything. Okay. Now you can say, well, I don't know, let's add 2. I like reading books and watching movies. I like reading books and watching movies. So you have used, in that sentence, 2 verb forms, which are the same, gerunds, ing, reading and watching, followed by nouns, books and movies. Okay, so parallel structure. If you can't think of 3 things to say, at least say 2 things using your parallel structure. But if you can't say 3 things, now those 3 things that you can say can change something that is quite simple and basic into a very, very powerful statement. Listen to this. We have a responsibility to ourselves and our nation. It sounds okay. Yeah, it's parallel, it is good, but it sounds so much better when we have a responsibility to ourselves, our nation, and our world. It has that extra rhythm to it. Okay? Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember. If the proverb ended with just those 2 lines, none of us would probably ever be able to remember this proverb. But because it comes in 3, there are 3 parts to it, it's much stronger. The message is clear and there is a rhythm to it. The rhythm of the magic of 3. So for more effective and clear communication, we are now going to practice using the magic of 3 to try and answer some IELTS questions.